literally going insane today. I think that I should be nowhere near technology at all, because every time I seem to touch a piece of technology today, it goes completely wrong. But anyway, I'm going to give it one last bash before I give up, because I think it's 5:10, so it's definitely time for a wine. That's perfectly acceptable. So I was talking about marketing message. When you get stuck saying what you do, or people ask what you do, or you're trying to communicate it in written form on your website or in any type of way, what are 3 really simple ways that you can get over overcomplicating it, being tongue-tied, or making it sound really boring? What you want from people is, at the end of what you say, is for them to say, oh, tell me more. Oh, that sounds interesting. Tell me more about that. Or I know someone who needs that. If you don't get one of those responses, you just get like a blank stare, then, you've either bored them to death or they've totally not understood. And I find mainly it's a not understanding, because we understand our subject matter really closely, and we can quite often talk in those terms that we understand that other people don't. So my first tip is to dumb it down a little bit. So imagine you're talking to a kid. Imagine you're explaining what you do to your child or to someone, below the age of 10. They've got a really short attention span. They don't understand, industry jargon, and they want it to be simple. So if you explain it to a child, rather than giving them 4 paragraphs of what you do, just say 3 short sentences. You'll practice doing that, and you'll find it's a really easy way to make it simple and effective. The second one is to use metaphors. So I use this a lot when I'm talking about my business and explaining what I do, because they are the same as story. They activate our brain in the same way. They bypass that kind of logical part of the brain, and they go to that emotional part of the brain that has us painting pictures. So we start to visualize, and we start to create a picture in our mind of what somebody is saying. So for example, when I'm talking about building your brand, or I'm talking about marketing in any way, I always say to people, going straight to advertising before you've sorted out your message or your niche is like trying to run a marathon before you've done a 5K. So there's lots of different ways you can explain what you do with metaphors, and it's a really, really easy way to capture that emotional part of people's brains, and it just gets them to visualize it really easily. It makes sense to people. I heard a really great one the other day. Someone said dental floss for the mind. So cleaning all the crap out of your mind. That was a great one. Just think of lots of different ways that you can describe things with a metaphor to make it more visual for somebody when you're talking about what you do. And then the third tip is to use the have you ever technique. So have you ever stopped opening your mail because you're scared of seeing bills? Have you ever had to cancel dinner plans because you were having a bad hair day, or whatever? And then you can go on to explain why your solution is the answer to that. So have you ever struggled with your message? Well, I have a solution that XYZ. Have you ever struggled, losing weight? If you phrase it in the have you ever, it asks a question. So immediately 2 things happen. Number 1, the part of the brain wants to answer that question. We kind of we start to think, oh, have I ever? And we want to answer the question. And secondly, it gets people then to engage with you. So it becomes a 2-way dialogue, rather than you just kind of verbal diarrhea on someone with everything about your business and your job. So those are my 3 quick tips for today. First of all, dumb it down, make it simple, tell it to a kid. Second, use metaphors, because they're a really good shortcut for story and to the subconscious brain. And third, use the have you ever technique. So I hope they've been useful for you. If you have not downloaded my brand quiz, I'll pop a link in the comments or above here, because there is a quick brand kind of diagnostic tool that I have put together. It helps you see your marketing blind spot. So it will see how strong your brand is against the core 5 pillars of every successful brand. Sorry, I need to take a sip of water. I'm getting a sore throat. So you can analyse your brand against those 4 key areas. See where you have gaps. See where you have blind spots. And then it will give you a quick report with a strategic plan. So you can download that in the link above or below. I will pop it in the comments as well. And if you have any questions, as always, just drop them in the comments. Tell me if you've caught this on the replay or you've caught it live. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.